Hi, I'm here at Bogda Gallery with Johnathan McDermott, and we're here at his first solo show. And hey, Jonathan, how are you doing?
How you doing?
Thought we could talk about preparing for your first solo show and maybe a little bit about the work in the show and go from there. I took photos, so we don't really need to go from piece to piece or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, go for it.
You know, again, this is my first solo show, so it's been, I've really not been familiar with the process and preparing for it, but the past month I would say has been really stressful. You know, creating all this, art for it. I never realized how much goes into this. So, but as you can see here, some of these pieces here, I'm kind of bringing a little more refined piece to the table here than what you've seen last May in a group show that I did here in Bogda. Taking a lot of objects that you might find familiar and creating assemblages with them. They're architectural and they're abstract in many different ways, creating repetition and line. And color mostly too, as well.
These start off with sketches, or do you kind of just is it a stream of consciousness how they're put together?
So it's sort of a stream of consciousness. I'm finding these objects, and I obviously hoard them all together until I feel like I'm ready to make art out of them. And I might, make one of them, just mock it up by putting it together. And then I might steal a piece from that and put it to another one until I find the right composition. And really trying to balance them as well as I can, color and shape, line, texture, all the above.
So the pieces kind of work off each other as you're working on a body of work?
Yeah, they do. They do. I often cannibalize pieces to make new pieces. If I feel like there's something that's going to look better on one of the paintings or the sculptures, then I'll take it from another one that might not be as strong.
Do you have a background as a painter?
I have done some painting. I first started in art doing painting, but I feel like venturing into this assemblage and this three-dimensional element is where my best work is.
I was just reason I was asking because I was wondering if you ever found yourself working that way as a painter on a series, taking pieces from one and working because I have a background as a painter, and that's kind of how I would work on a series. Just kind of put them together as one line, like they're almost one piece, but they're separate. Is that how you feel about these two? Are they kind of one piece but separate because you work on them all at the same time? Or do you definitely feel like each one has a life of their own?
I do feel like each one has a life of their own. Now, as far as like them being each one humongous piece, yeah, I mean, you could say that because they're all being created in the same time. I mean, assembling one at the same time as another one, actually painting one, waiting for it to dry, and assembling another part, while that part's drying. While I was painting, I did sort of do the same thing. I would steal some specific elements that I was using a lot and bring it into another painting, maybe organize it in a different way, giving you a different visual language of something that I've already used, maybe.
So are these are they kind of just more process oriented, or are you working on some deep prophetic concepts here that you care to share with us now that you're on the camera here?
It's good that you asked that. Most of what I'm doing, they're mostly specifically purely aesthetic in value. Design mostly, but I do have a piece here that you see behind me that is definitely has some deep meaning to it. It's sort of a play on John's and who's going to be the target, basically. And the mirror placed at the bullseye.
Jasper Johns?
Yeah, kind of gives you the idea that you're going to be the target. And I've called it overseas because basically an American, red, white, and blue. it's gonna make you a target overseas. That's why I've done that. So,
Maybe not anymore since
but,
Obama was elected, from what I hear. So.
Yeah, maybe.
Did you make that before? Or
no, I've made it now.
Or after he was elected?
Yeah, I did.
Really?
I did.
Interesting. So you just sold 2 pieces. How did that feel to see them walk out the door? Did it hurt, or were you happy?
I mean, they did pick 2 of my favorite ones, but it was sort of, sweet to see them walk out of the door with those, because, at least they appreciate them enough to actually pay money for them, so it makes me feel good.
So it sort of validated the whole thing?
Yeah.
Awesome. How long did it take you to put all the work together?
About a month and a half, but I have been working on them for about 4 months, collecting things to make it. So it's not just the actual making process. You have to have the objects to do it. So
are you doing like some dumpster diving for these? Or?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm getting some of these objects wherever you might find it.
So I'm interested in that because I've done some dumpster diving. When you go out, do you have an idea of what you're looking for, and then bam, it's sitting there in front of you? And do you ever feel like these pieces are kind of meant to be made? Like,
yeah, I do. I'll go, and I'm specifically looking for things that are repetitive, things that have line elements, things that have architectural elements, deep carved stuff. I'm looking for anything with a modern aesthetic to it, or a vintage aesthetic to it, where I can take that, remove some, and keep the good. Get rid of what I don't like and keep the good.
So you're going through a dumpster and you're saying, I want something round with a pole coming through it or something, and it just lands in your lap.
It may or may not. It may be months before I find something I really like, and that's what the hardest thing is.
Yeah.
So,
And you must have a pretty extensive studio. Or do you have like a wood shop, or?
Yeah. I am a carpenter by trade, so that's
where
it comes from. The tools and stuff like that. So.
Awesome. So you have any plans for the future with your work, or are you just kind of taking it one day at a time? Or?
One day at a time right now. I hope, hope to take it as far as it'll go. But,
Do you have a website currently?
No, I don't. And that's one thing after this show I'm going to get organized and do that.
Cool. At least you'll have an interview to put on there, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Well, hey, it's good for me. How about you?
Yeah, that's great.
Anything? Okay, words of advice. I always do that.
I would just say words of advice to
the young artists. Somebody.
I would say just stick it out. Stick out what you think. Stick with what you think is visually appealing, and do it.
Awesome. Thanks, Johnathan.
All right.
Appreciate it.